as he does each and every Monday. Rocky, good morning to you.
Morning. How are you guys?
We're doing great, Rocky. I got to think, that Hawaii trip, it's a long one and a tough game like that's got to be one of the longer flights back.
Well, it's tough because it's late at night, and it's probably harder on the players because most of them are beat up and sore and all those kind of things. But they did okay. They seemed to be. I didn't sleep, because I'm old and I worry about things. But they slept all the way home, so hopefully they're rested and ready to go today.
Coach, being completely transparent with you, I really didn't watch a lot of the game because I was having problems with my streaming. I paid for a streaming service, and I found out this morning I could have just clicked and watched it, so I'm the idiot here. Take us back to the closing seconds of the game. There seems to be some question about, did you think you had enough time maybe to run another play?
I think it would be dumb to run another play. If you'd watched the series leading up to it, we threw two passes that were almost intercepted where Hawaii dropped interceptions that could have ended the series right there and they would have won. And luckily they dropped them and we got it in field goal range. And Matt Arisa can kick it from there. He can kick it from 5 yards further back from there. So you take a timeout with a little time on the clock in case something goes wrong with the snap or we bobble the snap or something. We got a chance 5 yards further back. He can make it from there. So I thought it was a risk because of what I'd seen leading up to that play. It was a risk to run another play, and it was smarter to kick it then.
Yeah, Matt had made a 47-yarder against Wyoming, just 1 yard deeper, but you'd seen him virtually hit that one home, and he misses on the 48-yarder. Rocky, before we get to some offensive stuff, what did you make of the defensive performance? And I know that they did end up going with their other quarterback as well that gave them a boost. Did that – they only scored 14 points, so I know it didn't – bother you too much, but what did you make of the way your defense played overall?
Oh, I thought there was two series of downs where they scored touchdowns that we didn't play very good. They converted on several, 3 or 4 third down situations in both those drives. One of them we had a safety. They didn't give it to us that ended up a touchdown drive. Overall, if you look statistically and everything, overall the defense played pretty well, and the offense didn't score enough points, obviously. But then I was watching TV yesterday, and I saw the New England Patriots, who obviously have the best quarterback in the NFL right now, and they didn't score many points either, and they found a way to win. So you got to find a way to win no matter what your problems are.
Well, and every point matters, or every 2 points certainly matters. Did you think you had a safety there, or watching it back, was there forward progress?
Well, after watching it 3 or 4 times yesterday, there's no doubt in this world that it was a safety. And I don't know why they didn't give it to him or give it to us. I don't know why. Sometimes that stuff happens, but you can't worry about that stuff. I'm not for instant replay anyway. They said they replayed it, and they said forward progress had him outside the goal line. That's not true. He was outside the goal line at one time, but he stepped back when he saw penetration. He stepped back into the end zone and got tackled in the end zone. So everybody has to live with those kind of things. We shouldn't have instant replay. Let the officials call it, and we live with what they call.
Rock, was Ryan Agnew banged up going into this game? I mean, we saw him efforting out there a little gimpy with the calf injury. Or the leg
he's
injury,
got the calf injury, but it wasn't significant enough for him not to play. And now it probably hampered him a little bit in scrambling around and those kind of things. But I thought he played, he was hot and cold, but he played okay.
Rocky, I don't want to talk about the season like you have another game left because you got a big one against BYU. We'll talk about that in a minute. But from a Mountain West Conference overall standpoint, for you, this wasn't what we're used to seeing for San Diego State football running the ball. What were some of the challenges that you felt like this year where your yards per carry average just wasn't where we're used to? And I will ultimately also acknowledge that Juwan Washington was banged up from literally the entire season from his second carry on.
Well, a lot of it has to do with execution. I mean, if you don't block or maintain blocks up front like you have in the past, you don't run the ball as well. If your running backs don't seem to find the holes as quickly and make people miss or break tackles as much as people are used to seeing them do, obviously you struggle running the ball. That's one of the reasons we went to the spread formation, because we figured that we didn't have a number one draft choice at tailback. Even if Juwan was 100% healthy, he's not a first-round draft choice. So we assumed that we were going to have to throw the ball more, and so we got into formations where we were able to throw the ball more than we have in the past. Now, that hasn't worked out quite as well as I had hoped it would work out. I thought we would be able to score more points than we're scoring now. But you know what? Whenever you're upset about having 8 wins and going to a bowl game, that just means that we're all spoiled around here and that we're not really looking at this thing objectively, which we don't. We don't. I mean, I don't look at it objectively either. But the team has done a good job this year. They played as hard as they could against Hawaii, and they just weren't good enough.
Coach, you've always preached the Aztecs win games, the Aztecs lose games. It's not one player. It's not one position. When you look at your offensive line, did you think that they would be further along than they are right now, with the inability, unfortunately, to really sustain the running game?
Yeah, I think going into the season, we thought the offensive line would be better than they've played. And maybe we're overestimating those kids' abilities. Maybe they're not quite as good as we thought they were going to be, or maybe they didn't adjust to the new system, or it's not really a new system, the new formations as well as I thought they would. But no, the offensive line hadn't played as well as we anticipated them to play.
Rocky, you still have a big one here. If anyone is into Aztec sports, then they are probably into matching up against BYU, and that's happening Saturday night right here on Xtra 1360. Now, BYU can be a very different team, home versus on the road. They will be on the road. What do you make of how they're playing right now?
Well, number one, man, I've been in the league a long time. There's a natural rivalry everybody has against BYU that has been in this league for a while. But not one of our players cares. They don't hardly know who BYU is. They don't know the history of the BYU competition within this league. So that's not a motivating factor whatsoever. And the other part is BYU is, in my opinion, the best football team we've played to this point in the season. They're obviously mature young men. They're the biggest and strongest team we've played to this point. They had a little struggle in the middle of the season because their starting quarterback got hurt. When he plays, they're really, really good, and he's back. He's been back for the last couple of weeks. So this is the best football team we've played all year. So it's going to be quite the challenge. It's going to be tough, and we're going to show up and do the best we can.
Coach, we unfortunately have to say goodbye to some great men, some great people Saturday night. As you know, hopefully the team sends those seniors out on a winning note. As far as the regular season is concerned, there's obviously the bowl game coming up. Yeah, is that something though that you mentioned to your underclassmen, your younger guys, what this game really is about?
We already mentioned to them after the game that even though it's not for a conference championship, that the last 2 games were important, especially to the senior group. And the seniors have had a lot of great success since they've been here. I thought the senior group this year has done a great job of leadership. I thought last year they didn't do quite as good as we anticipate they would in the leadership role. This year's seniors did unbelievable. Great job of leadership. We got a couple really good players that I think you're going to see in the NFL.
Oh, yeah.
Most of them are not. And so this is the last couple games they'll ever get to play, and it's important to them, so it's important for the rest of the team to know that.
Rocky, always appreciate your time. Again, looking forward to this Saturday. Rocky and Coach's Show, full hour. We'll continue to break this down Wednesday night at 6 p.m., and then that game coming up Saturday. We'll have it all for you right here on Xtra. Thanks for your time, Rocky.
Appreciate it, guys. Have a good week.
Thanks, Coach. Happy Thanksgiving.